Hey, everybody, it is Sherry Downer here at Tier 1 Interventions Podcast. It's great to have you here with us where we talk about the core of the math classroom. Today, we're going to be talking more about pizzas, rectangles, lockers. Oh my!
Back on March 10th, 2026, we started a 10-segment series. Here is segment 10 from our October workshop. If you are enjoying what you are learning, please subscribe and leave a comment. Look for another series coming up next session.
I think that was the right order. Over to John Lee.
There's always a third way. We think as educators that it's either this way or that way, and that those are all my options. There's always a third way. In the Mastery Math method, the third way is to support students through reference tasks. So when my kids struggle, even my high school kids don't know how to get the factors of 24 or don't know what factors mean, I can now say, what dimensions, I'm not going to type this because we're out of time, but what dimensions of rectangles give me an area of 24? Or I can say, which students touch locker 24? Or I can say, where is 24 in the dimension chart? And because my high schoolers have experienced these reference tasks, hopefully almost every year by the time they get to me, and I've launched my year with all of the reference tasks, I can now use reference task dependent questions for intervention. And that, my friends, was the goal of mine today for you as the live group, to see this in-depth, deliberate, intentional process of the power of reference tasks. Now, I didn't make the explicit connection back to counting, but if you go back and listen to this again, or you go back and look at all the samples I gave, it's the underlying groove is getting kids to be better counters. Counting the blocks in the rectangle, counting the length of the side, counting how many dimensions, counting which students touch locker 24 in the locker problem. So counting to add, counting to multiply, counting to get area, counting to get, so we are focusing on counting at its bare minimum through reference tasks to then use as extension and scaffolding to intervene and accelerate and make all of these connections based on the essential math content. That's it. Natalie, we're 1 minute over. I went 1 minute over. Okay. If you guys need to jump, I love you. Sarah, go ahead.
Okay, so I know I do this a lot, but as I was watching you with the dimension chart, it like popped into my head. And this is, I think, the point of reference task is that how they can connect to other things that we may not see right away. When you do like 3 by 8, there are 3 tall and 8 long. I was thinking about the fact that like we can also have the 8 tall and 3 long, and the idea of commutative property, but that it changes how the rectangle's oriented. And then that made me think about rotation. And in 8th grade, our kids struggle so much with rotation in the coordinate plane. And now I'm thinking it's really that commutative property of the numbers. And then the fact that we're like rotating from one quadrant to the other just means we also have to pay attention to sign. But I'm like, now I'm just trying to like think about connections between the making rectangles and having some conversations about what they see and notice as we change or interchange tall and wide, and then how that kind of translates to what we're trying to do in those rotations.
I want to cuss so bad right now because when I get excited, all that trucker talk comes right out. I'm not gonna. See, I put 25 again. Why am I doing this? It's because my brain is going. Sarah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's the whole point. And I'm going to make the point. I don't know if I did this the right way. I probably didn't, because the 8 No, I did it the way that I saw the rectangle. So as far as like height and length and how that multiplication goes, I don't know. And I don't care. Okay. The way that I do it is when I draw the rectangle that's 8 long, I go across the top for 8 long because for me that transfers. I don't know what the multiplication problem. I don't know if this is the 8 times 3 or the 3 times 8. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I probably should care, but I don't. You can school me on that. Somebody can, if you're listening to this, you can go in the comments of the podcast and be like, you should care, and this is how it is, and this is how I remember it. Please school me on it. Okay, but I don't. But the point is, if you look at, and Sarah, you make this point, and I didn't make the point, but I should have made the point. When we have the 8 by 3, we go 8 across and 3 down. But the flip of that is it's the same factors. But now I go 3 across and 8 down. So for 11, remember I said about 11, we have to do the same thing with 11. And that's, so I count these as 2 different rectangles when I talk making rectangles. Because with 11, we want to say that there's only 1 rectangle. There's not, there's 2 rectangles. Because how many people touch locker 11? 2. The same number of people that touch the locker, this is important. The same number of people that touch the locker is exactly the same number of rectangles that can be created with whole number side lengths. Let me say it again. The same number of people that touch the locker are exactly the same number of rectangles that can be made for that locker number with whole number side lengths. So for 11, 2 people touch locker 11, there must be 2 rectangles. There's an 11 by 1 and a 1 by 11. The point that you make, Sarah, is a point that must be made and is absolutely essential to make these connections as well. But then you extended that point, which is beautiful. I can't say it any better. It's all about transformations, and I'll just let it be with what you just said.
I see a big extension in counting. I was with one of your groups yesterday. You had a diamond problem with 4x and 5, and they were struggling with the multiplying and just wanting to put 20. And I was talking to them, 4x and 5, what's that really saying? How many 4x's do you have? And we were counting, well, I have one 4x and another 4x and another 4x. And they're like, oh, it's got to be 20x. So that just clicked for me, like they're counting by groups of 4x. How many groups do you have? So yeah, anyway.
I should have done that yesterday, Natalie. I should have done that.
I was trying to help them out with this problem, and I was like, we got to like the adding part at the bottom, and why like you're just adding, and we pulled out algebra tiles, and yeah, green and yellow, they're not like terms, I can't combine those. And then I was trying to help them with the multiplying. I was like, so I had to, how would I explain this to a 6th grader, because I wasn't getting there with them. And I was like, okay, you have 4x. I was like, 5 groups of 4x. That's just counting. So it was me not being able to like communicate at an algebra 2 level, but it's the same. And they're like,
Holy
oh,
shoot.
yeah, that makes sense. How many groups do I have?
But Natalie, sugar muffin, you saw what I did with first period.
Yes, I did. Yes.
I was trying to do community, which wasn't bad, but oh my gosh, Jonalie. Because with first period, they were struggling to understand that you can combine this. So the way that I taught it, the way that I told it was that multiplication is commutative. So we only have 1 term and it's all multiplication. And they did know that there was multiplication. So then I said, because multiplication is commutative, and then I did a little mini lesson on commutative. I said, we can change the order and do 4 times 5 times x. We know 4 times 5. I did not. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do, that was important too, but sugar muffin, Natalie.
But I was trying to remember what you did. I'm like, oh, I know she said something really good, but it wasn't coming back to me. And I was like, but wait a second, we can just think about it like this. So
that is beautiful.
Yay. But I was like, yay, I haven't touched algebra 2 in a long time. And to be able to apply that, like I was feeling pretty good about myself. So it was fun.
It was so good. It was so good. So fun day. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
Where do I find this note doc?
On my computer.
I didn't know. I know. I was like, did you share that with us? And nope. I have the mastermind one. So I went in and was like, oh, does that hook in with mastermind? It does.
It should. let me just tell you about my life right now. No, I can't because it would take another hour.
I'm with you.
So there are so many productive things that are happening right now that I'm missing all of the detail stuff. Like I have no detail resurrection at all. So this is bad and it's terrible. So if you guys don't have something, I'm writing this one down right now, the notes doc. If you guys don't have something, email me and Sherry both on the same email because I have bailed on Sherry for months. Okay? Because I do not have a sliver of time in my day. Like I literally am working 18 of the 24 hours in every day right now. Okay? That's not an excuse. I'm not saying it's an excuse. And then I have some personal things that are flaring big time. The reason I say that is there are a lot of gaps in my details, a ton. So for you guys to help me, if you can today, tomorrow, in the next week, if you could send an email to Sherry and I both with just bullet points of things, I'll know, it'll trigger me. Just email, don't tell me right now. Just email and say notes document from tier 1 level 2 with the locker problem to give me a little description. I've got to get these details solidified. There's so many other great things happening, but at the expense of all of these minute details. So Amy, you don't have this and I'm a disaster. But I don't apologize for it because there has been so much progress in my professional life this year that would have never happened if I would have attended to details. And then I got some personal stuff that's like just.
Oh, I get it. You can't do everything.
So that is
Not
your
enough
answer
time.
to that. So if you guys could do that would be absolutely amazing. And then I think what we should do, if you guys have just a few more minutes, I think everybody needs to give a good testimonial takeaway from today.
With camera on, please, Kirk.
Okay. So if everybody can give a good testimonial takeaway from today, I think that will wrap us. Now, if you have to go, please don't let us stop you. If you've got somewhere to be, just jump off. Don't feel like you're being rude at all. But if you've got a good aha or addition to something or testimonial or whatever it is, we'd like to hear that before we wrap up today, if you could please. Kirk.
I was just saying, I'm on my way out the door right now.
Can you
I'm
tell
going
us
to have
something or
lunch
you
with
gotta jump?
Vanessa.
What?
I'm going to have lunch with Vanessa. I gotta go.
No.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
On Tuesday, October 21st, that's 3 days from now, I'm doing a masterclass on writing skills. And so the registration is in school. So please come and join me on that. It is brand new.
What
So
time?
while Jonna Lee has been off doing her professional development, I've been doing my own. And I have a brand new program and like a big realization about writing and learning. And I'm going to be revealing that on Tuesday, and it's free.
What time is that though, Sherry?
7 p.m.
Okay. I got parent teacher conferences that night.
Boo.
Sign up anyway, or send me some kind of thing. The way it's going to work in school is if you like enough things and you get to level 2, you'll get access to it. So just go into everything from today so that you'll be able to get access to the replay when I get it put up.
Okay.
So I'm done. Who wants to share?
Takeaway, aha, or extension for today, or any connection you've made.
I'll go. I think that today's session was especially beneficial to show how everything is connected. And for years, teachers have looked at it the wrong way. They've looked at it as a backwards model. Like the high school teachers have, if the students aren't where they're supposed to be, rather than figure things out, the high school teachers tend to blame the middle school teachers, and the middle school teachers blame the elementary teachers, and the elementary blame the preschool teachers. And what today's session did was totally upend that and say how important those fundamental skills are for all levels. And we went through so many, how counting is fundamental in math achievement and how there's all the different kinds of counting. And I think that elementary and middle school and high school teachers don't see the value in counting. And what we talked about today was we count without meaning, rote counting without meaning, rote counting with meaning, and how we've talked before about how we can count with fractions and count with decimals for place value and everything else. And then today, the epiphany was counting with x's and how important that is to lead into the algebra string. So everything in math, we know we typically have added before we've subtracted and things like that. So it is cumulative, but it all starts from counting. And that was such an epiphany for me today. Yay.
And I think the challenge for me, for you all in level 2 this year is I know that you all are deep in Mastery Math Method. You are deep in every program that Sherry and I offer. However, I know and I knew that you were all still missing so many pieces. And that is what I think about to plan tier 1 interventions level 2. So just know I'm doing all of this for you because I know what pieces you're missing and I have not effectively connected those pieces. And that is my goal for you that are participating in tier 1 interventions level 2 this year. Beautiful, Kathy. Other takeaway, who's next? Natalie.
Yeah, for our specific session, I say if we want that long-term achievement, we have to let them struggle. They have to be able to work through it and live through it and stop stealing that from them. But personally, like, I just had this whole big boom in my head. Our district has brought in Elevate. Lori, God, her last name just got away from me, but they're all about mindfulness and wellness for not just teachers, but they have a big education presence. And oh my God, my brain is full of so many.
I know you and me both. I can't even articulate anymore.
But when they first came to our school, like this would be 2 school years now. And one of their things is not even that you can't pour from an empty cup, but they want your cup to be so overflowing that you're pouring from the saucer. Okay. But when they first started, they were like saying these little things. And I was like, that's cool. That's nice. I like that. I can do that. But what's the big thing? What's the big piece? And then the next time we saw them, it was another little piece. And I was like, that's cool. I like that. I'm on board. But maybe we'll get to the meat and potatoes in the next one. And then next time was another little piece. I was like, cool. When do we get to the big thing? And it wasn't a big thing. Their thing is micro changes over time. You make a little change over time and that keeps going. And I sometimes even say nano changes over time personally. I'm like, it isn't a big thing. It wasn't one big piece. It literally is micro pieces that you make over time. And I just made that connection to our exposures over time. And it's not, and then I said, I haven't given myself enough credit. I think I've been waiting for what's the big thing. And I just realized with today, I've seen locker problem, I've seen rectangles, I've seen pizzas, oh my, and I haven't given myself enough credit. I was like, everything you just said, I'm like, I have made all those connections. I know this. And I haven't given myself enough credit to say, I know the big thing is the little things over time. So I am like I'm swimming in the struggle right now, but wow. I don't think I've ever felt like I'm like, how are we done? We just got started. There's so much going on in my brain right now. I am blown away. So there's that.
All I can say is you're welcome.
Not that I don't still want all of the pieces, but I got to give myself more credit.
Natalie, you should give yourself a ton of credit. And Natalie, that statement, all of those statements were an epiphany for me. You said it in a better way than I think any of us ever could. What you said was so profound I think that maybe will probably be a soundbite that Sherry will grab and go with some of the short clips, because I wrote it down as you were talking. It was absolutely beautiful. I need to swim in it a lot, because I need to see, I can't even articulate because my brain is racing so much based on what you just said. Blown
Yeah.
away.
I don't even know that I articulated everything the best because my brain is swimming so much, but I way overthink things because I did that with them. I did that my first couple of years as like that all or nothing. If it's not all, then I just way overthink things. But that's a me thing. No, it's not. A lot of us are like that.
Yeah.
We got to stop. Do it anyway. Do the micro, do the nano change, whatever's smaller than that. Do that because that's better than nothing. If you're doing nothing, that is one thing my admin says. Doing nothing is not okay. But if you're doing something, little changes, go do something. There it is. Go do something.
Perfection is the barrier of progress. Perfection prevents progress. Sarah.
I wanted to say my takeaway is definitely, like Natalie said, the importance of productive struggle and students persevering and like us stepping back, but setting up a structure that allows that. But then what we've all said about the importance of the repetitions over time and just what we're learning as adults with continued exposure to things and how that parallels with students. And then also what Natalie was just saying about herself, like getting students to realize that too, especially when they are like behind in math, and that as they get those small gains, like each one of them is really important to celebrate for themselves. And then my last piece is just I've definitely gotten a lot out of, I appreciate your reflection on what has been missing from some of the conversations. And I do feel like these have been, in a sense, maybe more linear than usual, but like I've appreciated just the structure of these conversations because it's definitely boosted my growth and understanding.
To respond to that real quick, since nobody jumped in like really quick, to make a point on what Sarah said, the linearness of the level 2 could only have happened with the non-linearness of level 1. So think about this. Think about Beth. Beth has been participating in level 2. She doesn't have any of those nonlinear chunks to be able to make the connections. Do you see? Once she gets more of those nonlinear chicken and egg chunks, she'll go back and listen to level 2 and be like, but see, this is my point. You can't have the linear first. Okay. All right. Other takeaways, testimonials.
I always just enjoy that I made a lot of connections, I feel like today, being a first grade math teacher, having it brought down to the number 24 also, then I feel like I can make better connections with numbers that I'm familiar with versus the fractions and the exponents and things. But you saying, like, the last time we talked about the X problem, it was product sum. And so I like that this time you talked about area either it being the array number or area at the top for vocab to use with the kids.
Beautiful. Fantastic. And those left and right numbers, those side numbers, those are the dimensions. Those are the dimensions. They always are. Because that is the phenomenon of mathematical multiplication. When I get a product, it's the result of 2 dimensions of a rectangle.
Jonalee, I want to close out Tier 1 Interventions podcast. And that is, if you are listening to this podcast and you are thinking, how do I get involved? You want to head over to your show notes and click on the link. We are offering you to come to a session like this, where you get all 2.5 hours at one shot for $47. You can then join another session for another $47, or you can buy the whole year for $497. Plus, you have to buy if you're going to go buy the whole year, you're going to have to buy level 1 as well. But the coaching and these conversations that we're having are $497. That sounds to me like a really good deal to really think the way you're thinking about not just mathematics, but occupational therapy delivery, speech therapy delivery, special ed delivery, and how we're helping these kids rethink, re regulate, relearn, and think about life as whole.